test for H. pylori. What happens when someone eats after they've already eaten? They feel like this area has become like a balloon. Sometimes there's rumbling or a bit of pain. At times, some people get hiccups, heartburn, or choking. Basically the same symptoms as acid reflux. Okay, and for many other people, they start to notice their breath has changed. Other people feel a sore throat every morning or an itchiness in their throat. Every morning it might go away on its own after half an hour or an hour. Now doctor, I'm going to get a test for H. pylori because of these stomach symptoms that are bothering me. But the question is, should I do it with urine, stool, or blood? We get a lot of questions about H. pylori on our channel, so we wanted to gather all your questions in this video. And we'll answer the question about the test at the end. But pay attention, all the information we're about to share is very important. Why, doctor? Because many of you go and get the H. pylori test, it comes back negative, and then you tell me, doctor, the test is negative. And I'm telling you, this test is unreliable. So how can we know for sure? Listen to this video so you'll be informed. H. pylori is a type of bacteria found in the stomach. For many people, it causes symptoms in the digestive system, and most types of symptoms are linked to the meals we eat. So we blame the food, even though sometimes the food has nothing to do with it. What happens to someone after they eat? They feel like this area becomes bloated like a balloon. Sometimes there's rumbling or a bit of pain. Sometimes some people experience hiccups, acidity, or choking. Basically symptoms exactly like reflux. Okay, a lot of other people start to notice that their breath smells different. There are others who feel pain in their throat every morning or an itchiness in the throat. Every morning it might go away on its own after half an hour or an hour. Alright, there are also many people who have the bacteria but don't show any symptoms. So doctor, how does it get transmitted? Most of the time, the bacteria is transmitted in one of the two ways I'm about to tell you. The first way is through saliva. So for example, married people who have the bacteria, if one of the spouses has the bacteria, we tell him, please have your wife tested, or we tell her, please have your husband tested. The second thing is if we all drink from the same water source, because the water might get mixed with saliva. And if someone else drinks from the same source, they can get the bacteria in the same way. I want to tell you that there are now studies saying that in some small swimming pools where people swim, there are people who have the bacteria because sometimes it mixes a lot with our saliva. Cases of infection from these sources, like swimming pools for example, have started to be recorded. Not many, but they have been documented. So that was the first way. So what is the second way, doctor? The second way is through feces. But how would I even come into contact with feces? What happens is that you go eat food from outside and the food you eat could have the bacteria on it. So how did the food get contaminated? The person preparing your food most likely either sneezed on the food while making it, that's the first way, or he went to the bathroom and defecated. He used his hand while cleaning himself, didn't wash his hands properly, and then came out to prepare your food. And this is almost the most common way. So, we end up ingesting someone else's feces indirectly. That's why we always tell people, please don't eat outside the house. And when we say that, we also mean don't buy food from outside and eat it at home. Okay, now I got the bacteria and took the treatment. Can it come back again, doctor? Yes, of course it can come back. Why is that, doctor? Because you can get it again from the same source of infection. So you might treat it today and it could come back after a week because you went back to eating outside, or you dealt with a water source that someone else drank from, or their saliva mixed with the water and you drank it too. So what should we do about this, doctor? Once you get treated, make sure that the people around you at home also don't have it by getting them tested. So when we find someone in a family who has the bacteria, we test the rest of the family members as well. Why is that? So that the infection doesn't come back to you and you don't keep reinfecting each other. The second point is, don't eat outside. It's a very simple matter. Now, someone here was saying, doctor, when I go to do the test, the lab just takes the sample from me without asking me anything. And they don't tell me that there are any requirements. Let me tell you about the conditions that make us say this test result is unreliable. When it comes out negative, what are the requirements, doctor? There are two things. Please, do not be taking any antacid medications from the family called PPIs, like the ones in the market such as Zirocol, Nexium, Control, Cutdown, Prazole, and many others and their alternatives. Why do these medications hide the bacteria in the test? So, for how long? The sources differ. Some sources say 1 week. Other sources say 2 weeks, so to be on the safe side, make it 2 weeks. So what else, doctor? The second thing is antibiotics, everyone. And there are many people who treat Flagyl and its alternatives as if they're not antibiotics, of course. So let's be clear, antibiotics must be stopped for a month before the test. What? A month? Yes, of course a month, because the bacteria can hide in the test. So when we get a negative result, we ask you two questions. Did you take these medications before the test? And for how long? That's why we tell you this test result is unreliable. We'll repeat it again when the conditions are met. Alright, now let's get to the most important question, doctor. Should I do the test in blood, stool, breath, or urine? Of course, there's no such thing as a test for the bacteria in urine, because we once had a patient who told us his doctor ordered a bacteria test in the urine. No, you must have gotten things mixed up. The urine test is for bacteria that might be causing a urinary tract infection. So, what is it for then, doctor? We do the test in 3 things: stool, blood, and breath. Which of them is the most accurate? Stool and breath. So why is that, doctor? Why not blood? You're telling me it's not very accurate. Let me explain now. With blood, if you get the bacteria even once, the antibodies show up. So let's say you take the treatment and recover from it. If we do a blood test for you later, it will still come out positive. What's that, doctor? Does that mean I still have the bacteria? No. The antibodies appear and stay in your system, so the blood test will always come out positive. That's why we generally don't rely on it for diagnosis. We do the stool and breath tests. The stool and breath tests are much more accurate than the blood test. Okay, doctor. When I go to do the test and get treated, when should I do the confirmation test, doctor? A lot of people take the treatment for the bacteria. Guys, you finish the treatment today and then go the very next day to do the test. That's not right, guys. When we take the medications for the bacteria, there are 2 antibiotics. It's 3 drugs in total, 2 of which are antibiotics. Remember the condition we mentioned for doing the test? The antibiotics must be stopped for a month before the test. So, we take the course of treatment for the bacteria, which lasts 14 days, and in some other courses, it's 10 days. But most of the courses available on the market are 14 days, 2 full weeks. You can't miss any doses in between. If you do, you'll have to start the course all over again after finishing the treatment. You wait 30 days without any antibiotics, then go do the test to make sure we've gotten rid of it or not. So, is it possible that I take the treatment and still have it? Yes, because many of us have taken a lot of antibiotics throughout our lives, so part of them have become resistant in our body. What does that mean exactly? It means they're not as effective anymore. They're not as strong as they used to be. They might not be able to eliminate it. So when we repeat the confirmatory test and find that it's still positive, we'll give you a different treatment course with medications different from the ones we gave you the first time. Because the ones we gave you the first time aren't able to eliminate the bacteria. Now you know the answer to the question. Stool and breath tests are much better than blood tests. You need to pay attention to the conditions I explained to you in the video. To trust the test results, don't drink from water sources that others also drink from. If you test positive for the bacteria, have your family members tested too, because you might end up reinfecting each other. Don't eat out again. I hope you found the video helpful. For those who haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you get all our new videos. If you think this video could be important for anyone, mention them or share the video with them. And please don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video. Peace be upon you.